The 44 days that shook Rome. From Caesar's assassination to the Second Civil War, March 16th, 44 BC, dawn. Julius Caesar's body still lies in the theater of Pompey. 23 stab wounds, a pool of dried blood at the feet of his dead rival's statue. But it's not Caesar's corpse that matters now. It's the vacuum he left behind. In the next 44 hours, Rome would discover something terrifying. Assassinating a dictator is easy. Filling the power vacuum he leaves? Impossible. And in the following 44 days, the men who killed Caesar would make mistakes that would destroy everything they fought for. This is the story of how liberation became chaos, how a funeral became a revolution, and how a teenager nobody took seriously would change the world forever. March 15th, 44 BC, 1:07 p.m. The moment Servilius Casca's dagger pierces Caesar's shoulder, everything changes. Not just for Caesar, for Rome, for the world. 60 senators stand frozen in the chamber, some in shock, others in horror, a few in triumph. Caesar fights back. He grabs Casca's arm, shouting his name, but Casca's brother is already moving. Then Cassius, then Decimus, then Brutus. 23 times, the daggers fall. When it's over, Caesar lies motionless at the base of Pompey's statue. The irony is almost poetic. The man who defeated Pompey dies at his feet. But here's what nobody expected. Absolute silence. The conspirators stand there, daggers dripping, waiting for something. Applause, maybe. Cheers. Other senators, rushing to join them. Nothing. Instead, panic. Senators scramble for the exits, trampling each other. Some jump from windows. Others hide under benches. Within 2 minutes, the Senate chamber is empty, except for 60 men covered in blood and one corpse. Marcus Brutus tries to speak, to explain, to justify. Nobody's listening. Nobody's there. Outside the theater of Pompey, word spreads like wildfire. Slaves see senators running. They see blood, they see terror, and they run too. Within 20 minutes, the entire city knows. Caesar is dead, but nobody knows what that means. For the conspirators, reality sets in fast. They've just killed the most powerful man in Rome, in front of witnesses, in broad daylight, and they have no plan for what comes next. Decimus Brutus, one of Caesar's closest friends and now his murderer, suggests they carry Caesar's body through the streets. Show the people what they've done. Prove they're liberators, not assassins. Cassius, always the pragmatist, refuses. Look around, he says. Where are our supporters? Where are the cheers? He's right. The streets are empty. Shops are closing. Doors are barring. Rome is afraid. And fear doesn't choose sides. The conspirators barricade themselves in the Temple of Jupiter on the Capitoline Hill. From there, they can see the entire city. And what they see terrifies them. Nothing is happening. No uprising, no celebration, no liberation. Just silence. Meanwhile, 3 blocks away, Mark Antony is having the worst day of his life. As consul, he was supposed to be at the Senate meeting. He was walking there with Caesar when Trebonius, one of the conspirators, pulled him aside. "We need to talk," Trebonius said, privately. Antony, never one to refuse a conversation, especially from a friend, followed him. They walked. They talked. About nothing important. Then a slave runs up screaming, "Caesar is dead, murdered, in the Senate." Antony's blood runs cold. He realizes immediately Trebonius wasn't making conversation. He was keeping Antony away from Caesar. Antony is a soldier. He's fought in Gaul, in Egypt, in dozens of battles. He's brave to the point of recklessness, but right now, he runs. He tears off his consular toga, throws it to the ground, and sprints home. He locks his doors, bars his windows, arms his slaves, because Mark Antony knows something the conspirators are about to learn. In Rome, killing one man is never the end. It's always the beginning. Before we continue with this story, a quick request. If you're enjoying this so far and want more people to discover this fascinating period of history, leave a like on this video. It really helps the channel grow and allows me to keep bringing you these stories. And if you love history told in a different way, with facts and drama you won't find everywhere, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell. I post videos like this every week. All right? Let's get back to Rome, where everything is about to get much worse. March 15th, 44 BC. Evening. 6 hours after the assassination, Rome is a ghost town. The Forum, usually packed with thousands, is empty. Markets are closed. The Senate building is abandoned. 3 groups are trying to figure out what to do next. The conspirators, still barricaded on the Capitoline Hill. Mark Antony, locked in his house with his wife Fulvia, making plans. And Lepidus, Caesar's master of horse, who commands the only legion currently in Rome. Lepidus is furious. He loved Caesar. Now he wants revenge. He marches his legion into the Forum and sets up camp. His message is clear. He's taking control, and anyone involved in the murder will pay. The conspirators see this from their hill. They panic. They need allies, fast. So they send messengers to the only people who might help, the other senators, the ones who ran away. Most refuse to come. They're not stupid. Whoever wins this power struggle, they want to be on the winning side. But one man accepts the invitation. Marcus Tullius, Cicero. Cicero is 62 years old. He's Rome's greatest orator, a former consul, and a lifelong defender of the Republic. He wasn't part of the conspiracy. They considered recruiting him but decided he'd just slow things down. Now they desperately need him. When Cicero arrives on the Capitoline, he asks the question everyone's been avoiding. What was your plan? Brutus and Cassius look at each other. We've freed Rome from tyranny, Brutus says. Have you? Cicero responds. Because from where? I'm standing. You've killed one man and terrified a city. That's not liberation, that's chaos. He's right, and everyone knows it. Cicero tries to salvage the situation. He suggests they call a Senate meeting immediately, pass laws, offer amnesty to Caesar's supporters, show Rome they're in control. But there's a problem. Mark Antony is consul. Only he can call a Senate meeting, and Antony isn't answering messages. March 16th, 44 BC, morning. Antony has spent the entire night awake. His wife, Fulvia, thinks he should run. Leave Rome. Hide. But Antony isn't running. He's thinking. And what he's thinking is this. The conspirators made 3 fatal mistakes. First, they killed Caesar but left his supporters alive. Antony is consul. Lepidus commands a legion. Dozens of Caesar's officers are still in Rome. Second, they're hiding on a hill instead of taking control of the city. They look weak, afraid. Third, and most importantly, they forgot about Caesar's will. Antony knows what's in that will. Caesar showed it to him months ago. And if the people of Rome find out what's in it, everything changes. Antony makes his decision. He's not running. He's not hiding. He's going to win. First step, negotiate. He sends a message to the Capitoline Hill. He proposes a meeting, a peaceful one. The conspirators are suspicious, but they're also desperate. They agree. The meeting happens in the Temple of Tellus. Neutral ground. Antony arrives first with just 2 bodyguards. He's calm, polite, reasonable. When Brutus and Cassius arrive, they're shocked. They expected anger, accusations, threats of war. Instead, Antony smiles. Gentlemen, he says, Rome is in crisis. We need to work together. What follows is one of the most brilliant political performances in history. Antony doesn't defend Caesar. He doesn't attack the conspirators. He doesn't even mention the word murder. Instead, he focuses on one thing, stability. The people are afraid, he says. They don't know what's happening. We need to show them that Rome is still standing, that the Republic is safe. Brutus, idealistic as always, agrees immediately. Cassius is more skeptical, but even he can't argue with Antony's logic. They negotiate. back and forth, for hours. Finally, they reach an agreement. The conspirators will be granted amnesty. No charges, no punishment. Caesar's laws and appointments will remain valid. His veterans will keep their land. And there will be a proper funeral for Caesar. A state funeral, with honors. Both sides think they've won. The conspirators think they've achieved peace without war. They can go home, resume their lives. Antony thinks he's set a trap, and he has. Because Antony knows something the conspirators don't. Funerals are political weapons. March 17th, 44 BC. The Senate meets for the first time since the assassination. The mood is tense. Half the senators supported Caesar. The other half opposed him. And nobody knows who's in charge. Antony, as consul, leads the meeting. He's masterful. He proposes a compromise. Caesar's killers won't be punished, but Caesar won't be declared a tyrant either. We move forward, Antony says. Together. The Senate, desperate for any solution that doesn't involve civil war, agrees. Decimus Brutus stands to speak. He calls the conspirators liberators. He says they saved the Republic. Some senators applaud. Others stay silent. Then Antony drops his first bomb. Of course, he says casually, we must honor Caesar's will. It's the law. Brutus tenses. What will? Caesar's testament, Antony explains. It must be read publicly. It's required by law for any Roman citizen. Cassius sees the trap. We should wait. The people are still emotional. But Antony insists. And legally he's right. The will must be read. The Senate votes. The will shall be read publicly, in the forum, at Caesar's funeral. This story only gets more intense from here. If you're following along and want more people to know this incredible history, share this video. Send it to that friend who loves political dramas or historical intrigue, and leave a comment. What would you have done in Antony's position? Would you have negotiated or fought? I want to know your thoughts. Now, let's see how Antony turns a funeral into a revolution. March 18th, 44 BC. Antony has 48 hours to prepare Caesar's funeral, and he's using every single one of them. First, he retrieves Caesar's body from Caesar's house, where it's been lying in state. He has it placed in the forum, on a raised platform, right in the center of Rome, where everyone can see it. But he doesn't just show the body, he displays it. Caesar's toga, the one he wore when he was murdered, is hung above the body. The holes from 23 daggers are clearly visible, and the bloodstains. Next to it, a wax effigy of Caesar, full size, showing every wound, every stab, every betrayal. People start gathering immediately, first dozens, then hundreds, then thousands. They stare at the blood, the wounds, the man who gave them land, money, victories, dead. Meanwhile, Brutus and Cassius are starting to worry. They're no longer on the Capitoline. They've gone back to their homes. But something feels wrong. The people aren't celebrating. They're mourning. Cassius wants to leave Rome. We've won politically, he argues. Let's take our victory and go. But Brutus refuses. We did the right thing. We have nothing to hide. He's about to learn how wrong he is. March 20th, 44 BC. The funeral. It's been 5 days since the assassination. The forum is packed. 50,000 people, maybe more, every space filled. Brutus arrives first. He's allowed to speak, as one of Rome's praetors. He climbs the rostra, the speaker's platform. The crowd is silent, watching. Brutus speaks. He talks about tyranny, about the Republic, about freedom. I loved Caesar, he says, but I loved Rome more. Caesar wanted to be king. We couldn't allow that, so we freed you. Some people nod. Some applaud politely, but most just stare, confused, because to them, Caesar wasn't a tyrant. He was the man who gave them land, who won them glory, who made them rich. Brutus finishes his speech. He steps down, confident he's won the crowd. Then Mark Antony takes the stage. Antony is carrying something, a scroll, Caesar's will. He doesn't speak at first. He just looks at the crowd, at the body, at the blood-stained toga. Then he begins, and what follows is one of the greatest speeches in human history. Antony starts slowly, carefully. "Friends, Romans, countrymen," he says, "I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him." He pauses. "The noble Brutus has told you Caesar was ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man." The crowd listens, still neutral. "Caesar brought many captives home to Rome. Their ransoms filled our treasury. Was this ambition?" Silence. When the poor cried, Caesar wept. Does ambition show such compassion? People start murmuring. At the Lupercal, Antony offered Caesar a crown. 3 times he refused it. Was this ambition? Now the crowd is engaged, leaning forward. Yet Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man. Antony repeats that phrase, again and again. Brutus is an honorable man. Each time, it sounds less like praise, more like accusation. The crowd begins to turn. Then Antony plays his masterstroke. He holds up the will, Caesar's testament. "I should not read this," he says. "It will make you too angry. You'll see how much Caesar loved you, and you'll rage against those who killed him." Of course, by saying he shouldn't read it, he guarantees everyone wants to hear it. "Read it!" someone shouts. "Yes, read the will." Others join. Antony hesitates, pretending reluctance. Then he reads, "To every Roman citizen, Julius Caesar leaves 300 sesterces." The crowd gasps. That's 3 months' wages for a common worker. "And his gardens across the Tiber he leaves to the people of Rome, forever, for public use." Silence. Absolute silence. Then someone starts crying, then another, then another. Antony isn't finished. He points to Caesar's body, to the wounds. "Look what they did to him. See this? This is where Casca struck first. And this, Cassius. And here, Brutus, Caesar's friend, his protege. Some even whisper, his son." He pauses, letting that sink in. "When Caesar saw Brutus stab him, he covered his face with his toga, not from pain, from grief, betrayed by the man he loved most." The crowd erupts, not in applause, in rage. People are screaming, crying, shouting for vengeance. Someone grabs a torch, then another. Within minutes, the mob is out of control. They storm toward the Capitoline, toward the conspirators' homes. Brutus and Cassius hear the roar from their houses. They don't wait to see what happens next. They run. Out of Rome, into exile. They'll never return to the city alive. That night, Rome burns. Not literally, but politically. The conspirators' houses are ransacked. Their supporters, attacked. Anyone suspected of being involved in the plot flees the city. Cinna the poet, who has nothing to do with the conspiracy, is mistaken for Cinna the conspirator. The mob tears him apart. The liberation that Brutus promised has become a bloodbath, and Mark Antony from his house watches it all unfold. He's won. Caesar's assassins are gone. Rome is his. But there's a problem, a big one. His name is Gaius Octavius. He's 18 years old, and he's about to change everything. We're reaching the most crucial moment of this story. If you're not subscribed yet, now's the time, because I make videos like this every week, and you won't want to miss what happens next. Hit that subscribe button. Now, let's see how a teenager nobody respected destroyed Antony's plans. March 25th, 44 BC. Antony is in complete control. The conspirators are gone. The Senate is terrified. Lepidus and his legion are loyal. And in a few hours, Caesar's will is going to be read officially, in front of the Senate. Antony already knows what it says. He helped Caesar write it. Caesar leaves most of his wealth to the Roman people. His political allies get positions, land, titles, and Antony, as consul and Caesar's closest friend, effectively inherits Caesar's political power. It's perfect. The clerk stands, opens the will, begins to read, standard bequests, money to the people, gardens to the city. Then he reaches the final clause, the most important one, the one that names Caesar's heir, and the clerk says, Gaius Julius Caesar Octavianus. Silence. Not Mark Antony, not Lepidus, not any of Caesar's generals or allies. Gaius Octavius, Caesar's great-nephew, an 18-year-old boy currently studying in Greece. Antony's face goes white. He knew Caesar cared about the boy. But heir? Adopted son? Full legal inheritance? No. That can't be right. But it is. Caesar's will is clear. He formally adopts Octavius as his son, makes him his heir, leaves him 3/4 of his massive fortune. And here's what makes it devastating. Under Roman law, Octavius now is Caesar. Legally, he inherits not just Caesar's money, but his name, his titles, his veterans' loyalty, his political power. Antony has been outmaneuvered by a dead man. April 1st, 44 BC. Word reaches Rome that Octavius is coming. He's left Greece, traveling across the Adriatic. Should arrive any day. Antony isn't worried. Not yet. The kid is 18. No military experience, no political connections, no power base. Sure, he has Caesar's name now, but names don't win wars. Soldiers do. And the soldiers follow Antony. When Octavius arrives in Rome, Antony is waiting. He greets him publicly, embraces him, calls him young Caesar. But privately, he makes his position clear. The money Caesar left you? I've already spent it. On Caesar's funeral, on his veterans, on stabilizing Rome. The political power? That's mine. I'm consul. You're a child. Caesar's name? Use it carefully, or you'll find out what happens to boys who play at politics. Octavius listens, quietly. Then he says something that changes everything. You spent my money without asking. That makes you a thief. Antony laughs. What are you going to do about it? Octavius doesn't blink. I'm going to take everything from you. For the first time, Antony sees something in the boy's eyes that worries him. Not fear, not respect, calculation. April 10th, 44 BC. Octavius moves fast. He can't challenge Antony directly. He's too young, too weak. But he can do something else. He can buy loyalty. Caesar left him 75% of a fortune worth millions. Antony spent some of it, but not all. Octavius sells everything he owns, his property, his investments, everything. Then he goes to the forum and makes an announcement. Julius Caesar promised every Roman citizen 300 sesterces. Mark Antony hasn't paid it. I will. The crowd erupts in cheers. Antony is furious. That money was supposed to buy him support. But there's nothing he can do. Legally, Octavius is right. Next, Octavius goes to Caesar's veterans, the men who conquered Gaul, who won the Civil War. These are hard men. Soldiers who've seen 20 years of war. They don't care about 18-year-old boys. But Octavius doesn't talk to them like a boy. He talks to them like Caesar. My father promised you land. I will give it to you. My father promised you glory. I will lead you to it. My father made you rich. I will make you richer. And critically, Mark Antony let my father die. He was consul. He was supposed to protect him. He failed. That last part is technically unfair. Antony was deliberately kept away from the Senate, but it's politically brilliant because it plants a seed. Maybe Antony isn't loyal. Maybe Antony is just using Caesar's name for his own power. The veterans start to wonder. April 20th, 44 BC. The Senate meets again. Antony proposes a new law. All of Caesar's acts are to be confirmed. Everything he did, everything he planned becomes official. It sounds reasonable. It's meant to bring stability. But there's a catch. Caesar kept notes, plans, ideas for laws he might pass someday. And those notes are now in Antony's possession, which means Antony can discover any law he wants, any appointment, any decision, and claim Caesar planned it. It's brilliant and completely corrupt. The Senate sees this, but they're afraid to oppose him, except one person. Cicero stands. "This is not law," he says. "This is tyranny with Caesar's signature." Antony glares at him. "Are you questioning Caesar's wisdom?" "I'm questioning yours," Cicero responds. The Senate goes silent. Cicero continues. "You've spent Caesar's money, forged his documents, used his name for your own power. You're not honoring Caesar. You're desecrating his memory." It's the bravest speech anyone has given since the assassination, and it makes Cicero a target. April 28, 44 BC. 44 days have passed since Caesar's assassination. Rome is more divided than ever. Brutus and Cassius are in Greece, raising armies. Antony controls Rome, but his grip is weakening. Octavius is building a power base, slowly but surely. Cicero is writing letters, trying to rally the Senate, and everyone knows this isn't peace. It's a pause. The Second Civil War is coming. It will make the first one look like practice, and when it's over, the Roman Republic will be dead. In its place, an empire, ruled by the teenager nobody took seriously. 44 days. That's all it took. 44 days from Caesar's murder to the beginning of the end. This was the story of how liberation became chaos, how a funeral became a weapon, how a will destroyed a consul's plans, and how an 18-year-old boy named Octavius began his transformation into Caesar Augustus, the first emperor of Rome. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. Leave a comment. Do you think the conspirators were right to kill Caesar? Or did they destroy the very thing they were trying to save? I want to hear your thoughts. Next week, I'm telling the story of what happens next. The Second Triumvirate, the battles of Philippi, the hunt for Caesar's killers. It's even more dramatic than this. Until then, history never ends. It just changes players.